Dragon Age Inquisition was rated M for mature by the ESRB and contains blood, intense violence, nudity, sexual content, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello everyone, my name is Amaronith and I play games for the internet, and today we're playing Dragon Age Inquisition. It's been a couple of episodes and now it's time for another Codex reading. Starting with characters. Cullen. Whatever you have heard of Kirkwall's rebellion, the truth is far worse. I would spare you that. What remains of Kirkwall's Templars have been under my command for the past few years. We have done what we could to assist with the city's recovery, to restore some semblance of order, but my time here is done. Seeker Pentagast has approached me. She wishes to stop the war between mages and Templars. She has been recruiting men and women to the cause and wishes me to oversee the group's military concerns. If the conclave goes well, then we will not be needed. If not, we stand ready. I have decided to take Seeker Pentagast's offer. The circles have fallen. I can give no more to the Templar Order, nor it to me. The Maker has shown me a new path. I must take it. Excerpt from a letter sent to Southreach by Commander Cullen. Dear Mia, I'm still alive, your loving brother Cullen. Honestly, is it so difficult? We thought you were dead. Again! If the Inquisition was not on everyone's lips, we never would have heard that their fine commander survived Haven. We've been hearing strange things about the Templars lately. I'm not sorry you left them. I thought your resignation was implied when you joined the Inquisition, but you meant something more, didn't you? It's a fool's errand asking you to stay safe, but please try. Your loving sister, see how easy this is, Mia. Creatures. A Horsemaster's notes on mounts. Never seen a proud rider atop a regal mount? That's your failing. Such animals are common enough, but there are costs, so you keep them away from chance of blight, theft, attack, all the nonsense that makes for poor stabling. These aren't working beasts, with the fire bred out of their eyes so they can suffer a plow. These creatures are about spirit. A proper mount isn't some noble's plaything on a hunt. It's your everyday, and you'd better match it to deserve it. On horses. You've never had a mount like the Ferelden Forder. A hardy warm blood. Don't let the size fool you. They're not meant for the farm. Centuries of careful breeding have taken common stock and produced a glory. A creature as much at home in a charge as they are in a march across nations. But for all the stamina and speed they place at your command, press too far and you'll be picking dirt from your teeth. They know their role and expect that you know yours. Warning and promise and all that. On the flames of the Inquisition armored charger. Never in all my days did I think I would handle such barding. Never mind the quality of the breed. A true purebred lineage clad in the hallmarks of a master. The combination is one of a kind, and this animal knows it. Mountain rider, meant for greatness. Don't disappoint. The bar has been set very, very high. On the Red Heart. Honored to see one up close without meeting it points first. The pride of the stable, of any stable. Even the Dalish I've had occasion to ask have said it's rare to glimpse them at a distance. The few who have mastered one, and it truly is very few, say there is no animal more sure of foot, more attuned to its rider, more inspirational to simply gaze upon. You want to match the majesty of this creature? Grow some bloody wings. On the Bog Unicorn. Still not sure what you unearthed. Talked to a mage about it and got a typical head in the fade response. Got a better answer from that tranquil of yours, and it still chilled my short hairs. Plain speak, there's a spirit of some kind in there. Now, a horse to me means freedom, but I understand that sometimes it's a demon. The wrong side of what it should be. What's the wrong side of freedom? Chaos or just unending? Something like that. Whatever is in there, this animal was the best of the breed. An Orlesian charger fit for any chevalier, and well tended in life. By its wounds, I'd wager it fell in battle with demons of some ilk and was finished by its master's mercy. Whatever spirit of loyalty or freedom or whatever makes the horses run brought this strange thing back. It wants to serve. I've no doubt it will ride well, and I'll stable it, but I'm not going near it. Greater Mountain Nuggalope, or Death Nug. It has hands. It handles things. That's hitting me worse than anything else. What the ever-loving spit? I can't argue the impressive stature of the thing, and it's stubborn like the most entitled charger. It knows how strong it is, and it knows you know. I expected the dull snuffling of its small cousins, but this, it has hands and spirited eyes. Mind where you secure the buckles of your saddle. I expect it'll let you know when it tires of suffering you on its back. Not that it tires. Hands. Hands! Arcane Horror. Upon descending to the second floor of the tower, a gruesome sight greeted us, a ragged collection of bones wearing the robes of one of the senior enchanters. I had known her for years, watched her raise countless apprentices, and now she was a mere puppet for some demon. Transcribed from a tale told by a Templar in Antiva City, 713 Storm. Druffalo. They said the mages were coming to Redcliffe. We had to leave or be caught in the middle of their war. Guy said that it would be safe in Denerim. We left as soon as we could, but the little ones could barely walk a mile. I was about to turn back when Guy saw a herd of wild Druffalo passing through the hills. He said, "How different can they be from horses, or brontos? Oh, but those horns! I was afraid and told Guy not to go, but he said we had no choice. Guy said he would catch up to us and that we should continue on. We kissed goodbye, and he left. The children and I kept walking. 1 day passed, 2, then 3, and I knew in my heart he was dead. I almost gave up. One morning I was fetching water from the river when I thought, how easy would it be? They would just slip away, and I would just follow them. No more pain, no more fear. As I searched for my courage, I heard a crashing through the undergrowth. Bandits, I thought, or a bear. But instead it was a giant beast with a pelt of blue-gray and a gleaming black horns, and riding its muscled back was my Guy. The Druffalo was enormous, but gentle as a doe. The children called her Bluebell. I never told him what I almost came to that day. A diary found in a refugee tent in the hinterlands. Well, that's dark. Poison Spider. The dawning of our understanding was violent and terrifying, made all the more so because of the mistaken awe and glory it replaced. We had walked into the cavern on the word of the shaman, and we were not disappointed. Row upon row, an army of dusty figures, men and women, pack animals, and what appeared to be staged tableaus of scavengers, as though silent commentary. We imagined it the toy battalion of a mad king, funded by mountains of gold, or the subjects of some cruel empress sealed away with her upon her death. It was, to all of us, a wondrous sight, yet another example of how we mortals are pretenders to creation and immortality. Then we asked ourselves, why are they all looking upward? And the answer was upon us. A sound from above, then legs, fangs, and poison. I do not know the number, less than my nightmares bear, but still too many. Only quick fires from our circle apprentice allowed us to retreat, but not all. Several of our number were paralyzed in the instant, as must have been the case for so many before. When I close my eyes, I see them, new recruits to that silent army, frozen in praise of a moving ceiling, waiting to be hallowed. Excerpted from We Need Not Demons, Our Dangerous World, a collection of natural horrors and wonders, edited by Philium, a bard. I don't think we've read this one, but here we go. And if it's double, sorry. Wyvern. The wyvern, like its relative the dragon, has nearly been hunted to extinction. Wealthy Orlesians are particularly fond of the wyvern chase, although their servants and dogs take the risks while the noblemen merely accept the praise. It is the venom that makes the creature so valuable. It's used in potion making, alchemy, and the production of a rare and potent liquor called aquae lucidius. The minuscule quantity of the venom remaining in the aquae after distillation leads to a unique hallucinatory effect. Testimonies from a few of those fortunate enough to sample the costly concoction. I feel confused, but happy. It was as though my soul took wing and floated about my head. I had a vision of my great-grandmother and found it oddly arousing. I can see through time! Letters and notes. Letter of Confession. Inquisitor, it was not Darkspawn that opened the dam and flooded old Crestwood 10 years ago. I did, in secret, the night they attacked. The undead you have been fighting are people I killed with my own hands. We'd taken in refugees from the Blight. Many were ill. We moved the sick to the lower part of Crestwood, and the refugees into the caves to stop the disease from spreading. It didn't work. One confessed he'd seen Blight sickness before. It was always fatal. When the Darkspawn attacked, I knew the only way the village would survive is if the Blight sick drowned with the monsters. I cannot bear the sight of old Crestwood now that the water is gone. I cannot stay. I'm sorry. Mayor Gregory Dedrick. Places. Crestwood. Crestwood is a small village of no real consequence to the lords and ladies who ride through on their way to Valroyo or Tenebrium. The people are glad for visitors, however. Residents tend livestock and grow what crops they can, but their chief income comes from trade. I was dining alone at the local inn, which is quaintly perched on top of a dam. When I overheard the barman mention tunnels beneath the village, I was surprised to learn that a vast cave system riddles the lands surrounding Crestwood. The locals told me tales of strange noises and eerie lights, of entire expeditions swallowed by underground fissures, of screams in the dark that come from nowhere and return just as swiftly to nothing. I scoffed, then went for a stroll around the area. The night was clear, and I was wending down a pleasant glade in the hills when I heard a rasping hiss. Dropping my walking staff, I spied an overgrown opening to a small cavern. Were those footsteps padding away into the dark I heard then, or a startled animal? That night, I let the candle in my room burn longer than usual. From the diary of a traveller from Valchavon, dated 3 months before the start of the 5th Blight. Resources found here: elfroot, spindleweed, blood lotus, deep mushroom, embrium, iron, obsidian, everite. Emprise du Lion. The ancient name of these craggy highlands has long been lost to time. When the first Valmont Emperor was crowned in the Exalted Age, the mountains here were renamed the Emprise du Lion to honor the House of Valmont, which bears a lion upon its crest. Wandering through these remote hills, I discovered remnants of a forgotten past, mingled delightfully with signs of the present. Charming villages dotted the landscape, and, scattered among them, relics of the lost elven nation. Young women sold wild berries at a market nestled in the shadow of a sinister crumbling fortress, which may have once been the seat of a Dalish lord. Children played in the fields, watched over by the silent statues of gods whose names they did not know. I walked quiet lanes bordered with wildflowers, the high arches of an ancient bridge soaring above me, majestic even in their ruin. Sadly, my time in the mountains was short, and I soon continued on to Halam Shiral. I found myself thinking back on the Emprise du Lion, however, and how gracefully she bore the passing of the ages. I wondered what the future held, and dreamed of how it might leave its mark. Whatever comes and can only add to her beauty, delicate lines on the face of a gentlewoman, which speak of a life well lived. From In Pursuit of Knowledge, The Travels of a Chantry Scholar, by Brother Genetivi. Resources found here: elfroot, black lotus, rashvine nettle, arbor blessing, Valendaris, bloodstone, dawnstone, and silverite. The Marquisate of Serault Glassworks. Glass so clear and worth the price as kicks of light catch color twice. Such is the literary whimsy Seraultine glass inspires, with beauty all but the sunless sea. Perhaps be less quick to recklessly rhyme. On the quality, have no doubt, though some claim the multicolored echo bizarre or imagined. Like the challenge of grace notes and the discerning ear, the educated eye finds ever more to appreciate, but be mindful whom you approach when seeking deals in the Marquisate of Serault. As far west as one can still be called civilized, it attracts exactly the type you would expect, those who fail better than most. Agitators of various intent seeking remote sanctuary. A gathering that creates a nexus of stories. The one who dismisses de Serault tricksiness out of hand misses plenty. Care, rivals, for they are as skilled in the game as their glassworks, though they have been considered outcasts since the great shame of Serault. Mind their welcome as you would a smiling card sharp, or risk attending your last court. And remember the promise and threat of payment in glass. From On the Glassworks of the Marquisate of Serault, collected by Philium, a bard. Tales. A Magister's Needs. Dearest sister, it's been an age since I've written, but I simply had to thank you. Your advice was perfect. Just a few gossips bought with gold, and everyone in Manrathus thought Quirinus and I were the most dreadful rivals. It let us indulge in our little love affair without his wretched family interfering, if only for a little while. Quirinus himself sadly turned out to be less ideal. I caught him carrying on behind my back with a soparati of all things. Can you imagine? There was nothing for it. During the quarrel, I threw boiling water in his face, let his soparati kiss the scars better. He's cowering in his mansion now, pretending he was hurt in a duel. No doubt he'll want revenge. Don't worry, dear sister, I took precautions. Don't tell anyone, but my master taught me a few secrets that should keep me safe. The ritual cost me the mansion's kitchen slave. Lena, I think she was called. But I've enough power now to keep Quirinus from trying anything foolish. Kitchen slaves can be bought by the dozen at the market, so there's no harm in it. I feel wonderful, dear sister. Won't you come for Winter's End this year? I'll have my new slave trained to make your favorite lemon cakes by then. It'll be perfect. Letter from Magister Delphine to her sister Olia. 865 blessed. Bottles of Thedas. Updated. Garbolg's backcountry reserve. Likely dropped to avoid seizure by authorities or because of seizure due to drinking it. Garbolg only brewed from 874 to 892 blessed. Killed when the vapors in his beard spontaneously combusted. Golden Scythe 490 black. This battlefield spirit maintains a chill even in direct sunlight, which it appears to absorb. Optimal serving is by the drop. Contact with exposed flesh is discouraged, but likely inevitable. Dragon Piss. The name is probably figurative, but no one knows for sure. Hirol's Lava Burst. It tastes like burning. Brewed exclusively in Cal Hirol. Butterbile 784. A hard liquor that is not so much served as it is brandished, coarse and indifferent. It is to your taste or it is not. The failing is yours if you cannot raise or lower to the challenge of a distiller told not to. Vint 9 Rowan's Rose. Delicate to the nose, comfort to the tongue, and strangely a half-remembered whisper to the ears. It is described as, and inspires, a wistful spirit, a Vinter's opus. Antivan Sip Sip. Careful, this one's mean. Attic-raised mean. Popular among highborn who wish to seem dangerous, but more at home grasped by the neck by those who actually are. Carnal 869 blessed. An Orlesian liqueur for the daring, or those who wish to seem so, said to enhance sensation, and at the bottom an erotically carved peach pit. The design is plain, but the bottler assures that the act of carving was scandalous. Constellation, Kios. Referred to as chaos in the common parlance, the constellation Kios is thought to represent the old god Zazakel. These stars have often been depicted as ill omens. Thus, in the Tower's age, a movement within the Chantry sought to change the constellation to a representation of a dove. It did not gain traction. According to folklore, the priest behind the effort fell from a bridge and died shortly after Divine Joyous II made the decision against her. I maintain that this never actually happened and is nothing more than astrological superstition. From a study of Theodosian astronomy by Sister Orin Petrarchius. Constellation Tenebrium, called Shadow in common parlance, likely due to the ancient association of the constellation Tenebrium with Lusican, the old god of darkness in the night. It is odd, however, that the depiction for this constellation has always been an owl, not a dragon, even in the Tevinter texts. This lends credence to the widely held belief that Tenebrium was a name that meant to supplant an older elven association, perhaps with the elven god Falindin, sometimes represented in tales as a giant owl. There is, of course, another explanation. Owls are nocturnal hunters, and among earlier peoples were considered terrifying omens of loss. From a study of Theodosian astronomy by Sister Orin Petrarchius. Grey Whiskey Ritewine Conscription Ale. Updated. Perhaps local to a handful of Grey Warden companies, these spirits reflect a custom or legend born of utility. Allowed to seize goods to aid their cause, wardens combine half-full bottles to save space while traveling. Never fully emptied, or, as with a kettle, cleaned, each eventually takes on a base flavor as unique as the warden carrying it. What do we care? Nothing burns like the first cup. Could be fact, could be tribute. It does seem as though the bottles range farther than the namesake warden could. Whoops. A bottle marked Vintage, Warden Gibbons. Don't friggin' touch. I spit in this. I mean it. A bottle marked Vintage, Warden Riordan. Serve yourself. A bottle marked Vintage, Warden Daedalem. Daedalem. Extra red. A bottle marked Vintage, Warden Bethany Hawk. Princess Piss. Well, I'll read it, and if it's a repeat, it's a repeat. Hardened Hightown, Chapter 5, by Varric Tethras. Javelin was waiting outside the captain's office when Donan Brennikovic slunk out, defeated. "We're not getting a warrant, are we?" Javelin looked almost relieved. "No." Donan met his partner's eyes. The kid was barely 20 and looked like he'd walked straight to the Kirkwall barracks from somebody's potato farm. Taller and broader than the other guards, Javelin slouched as if he didn't know how to fit into his own limbs, as if he thought he should be smaller. Hunched over in his brand-new, too-large armor, he looked like a child playing at being a guard. He was too green for a murder investigation. "Maybe it's for the best," Javelin said, almost speaking Donan's thoughts out loud. "You're on your way out of the guard, and I'm—" He trailed off, then sighed. Questioning nobles in the middle of the night wasn't covered in training. Donan glared at the kid. "I'm a city guard, and so are you, recruit. Nobody gets away with murder while we're on duty." Javelin stood a little straighter. "What do we do, then?" "The captain wants proof?" Donan smiled. "We bring her proof." Hardened Hightown, Chapter 4, by Varric Tethras. Donan Brennikovic didn't stand on ceremony. He strode through the barracks and slammed open the door to the captain's office without so much as a nod to the guards he passed. Just barely dawn, and already Captain Hendelin was buried behind a mountain of paperwork taller than the Vimarks. All Donan could see of the captain was her fiery hair and an angry gaze that had stopped more than one pickpocket mid-grift. "Captain, I need a warrant for the Comte de Favre." Even as the words left his lips, Donan knew they were a mistake. The captain rose to her feet. "Brennikovic." The way she spoke his name was like a portcullis clanging shut. "Where's my report on the Hightown market body?" It was the kind of question you might ask a truant child, the kind where you already knew the answer and just wanted to see someone squirm in guilt. "I'll file it after—" "You'll file it now, guardsman." She stepped out from behind the desk. "We follow procedure in my barracks. A magistrate was murdered on my watch, Captain." Donnan's voice was heated. He could never keep his temper in her presence. "I'm not letting the killer get away." "You left the scene without a thorough search of the market," Hendelin began pacing, her voice like cold steel. "You harassed a magistrate's widow, and you practically broke down a compt's door." She turned to glare at him. "All before dawn. You want a warrant, you damn well better have hard evidence to justify it." "I know that de Favre isn't telling us everything," Donnan insisted. "Let me bring him in and—" "Forget it." She crossed back to her chair. "You've got nothing. You're not arresting a man on a feeling, Brenikovic." "Captain!" he protested. From behind her paperwork, the captain waved for him to be silent. "You're 2 weeks from retirement, guardsman. You want to stay in the ranks long enough to get pensioned, you follow procedure. Find me evidence and quit wasting my time." Dismissed. Harden Hightown, Chapter 3, by Varric Tethras. For the second time in what was becoming a very long night, Donnan Brenikovic and his partner, Jevlin, found themselves knocking on a nobleman's door. It was still hours before dawn, the sky turning grey around the edges. The steel of Donnan's gauntlets clanged against the door. Once, twice, no answer. He sighed, looking up at the dark windows of the mansion. He was getting too old for this shit. "Maybe he's out," Jevlin offered. The recruit was nervous. In the guard a week, and barely able to walk through Hightown, too green for a murder case. "He's hiding. Look up." Donnan pointed. He shuttered all the windows. There hasn't been a storm in months. He pounded on the door again, louder. "We should get the captain." Jevlin shifted and squirmed under his heavy shoulder plates. Donnan had forgotten how badly new guard armor fit. He started to tell the kid where to get it adjusted, and the door swung open. "Come inside, quickly!" The man rushed them inside and through the house. Every room was dark. No moonlight made it through the shuttered windows. No candles flickered. Their way was lit only by a hooded lantern in the hands of their host. He stopped once they had reached a windowless inside room, where he closed and bolted the door behind him. "Comte de Favre," Donnan guessed. The man nodded. In the dim lantern light, Donnan could see that he was dressed in a gaudily brocade doublet, but had thrown a chainmail shirt over it. He wore the helmet from an obviously ceremonial armor set, slightly askew on his head. "I know why you're here," the Comte whispered. "Dunwald." Donnan's voice was flat. "Did you kill him, your lordship?" "This is bigger than a murder," the Comte hissed, eyes flickering to the door. "Dunwald drew the attention of great powers. When dragons do battle, guardsmen, mortal men can only take cover. Drop the case. Don't draw their gaze." When I have all of the chapters, and hopefully I will read all of that in order. Paragons known and lesser known. The criteria the dwarves used to name a paragon never ceased to fascinate me. While a relatively rare distinction, it seems almost any achievement of significance warrants the title. Some paragons are the victors of great battles, others write books or songs. The only common thread is an act that betters or sustains the dwarven way of life in some notable fashion. Iduken is among the oldest and perhaps most famous paragons, not to be confused with his descendant, King Endrin Iduken. This prior Iduken was a humble member of the warrior caste, whose brave leadership during the First Blight saved Orzammar. When other Taigs were lost, Iduken claimed defeat, but his service made him a hero. History now remembers Iduken as the quintessential paragon. Other paragons have been more controversial. Caridin, the Master Smith, created the powerful golems who helped the dwarves immeasurably in their battles with the Darkspawn. Caridin then disappeared amid much speculation, taking the secret of his craft with him. There's also Aistith, the Grey, a paragon of the warrior caste. She was famous for her skills in unarmed combat and cut out her own tongue to focus on the art without distraction. An order of female dwarven warriors known as the Silent Sisters persists. They remove their tongues in her honor. but these are the most well-known of the dwarven paragons. Others have earned the rank over the ages for far less noble pursuits. I found references to paragons who made their names writing particularly good rhymes or brewing stronger ales. Then there's the paragon named Wyvern, who separated from his legion and lost his way in the deep roads. Wyvern nearly starved to death before breaking down and eating a nug, believed at the time as appetizing to dwarves as a rat. Devouring the creature not only saved his life, but opened his palate to a new world of flavor. When they finally found him, Wyvern was fatter than ever and raving about the miraculous subtleties of the nug flesh. The creatures are now considered a dwarven delicacy. From Stone Halls of the Dwarves by Brother Genitivi, Chantry Scholar. Plants versus corpses. In all the strange struggles that have raged across Ferelden, one of the most peculiar is the Battle of Pauper's Cap. A powerful demon, bent on gaining power in the mortal world, raised an army of corpses to assault the home of Amaronith, a reclusive apostate who was said to possess both fabulous wealth and great knowledge. While the demon saw the perfect host in this bejeweled bookworm, Amaronith was not without defenses of her own. As the corpses shuffled towards her house, Amaronith called to the demon, declaring that though she was just a simple apostate, the demon would see her power and entire infantry. Then, calling upon her magic, she summoned spirits into the plants of her vegetable patch, creating countless tiny sylvans. The resulting garden warfare saw corpses armored with buckets and doors as makeshift helmets and shields, battling possessed fruits and vegetables who spat seeds, constructed makeshift fortifications, and even chomped entire corpses whole. In the end, the area around Amaronith's home became both garden and graveyard, home to the corpses destroyed as she defended herself and this world from the demon. Had she been defeated and her great brain turned to the demon's purposes, we might well have seen such terrible corpses rampaging from the great pyramids of Parvolin to the pirate-infested waters of Lemarin, or even into the unknown western lands. Is this my lunch? I thought we were dining on bacon today. I was informed that there would be bacon. No, I shall not take the pot off my head. Why? Because I am mad! An unsourced and debatable tale from Davith the Mad, supposedly shared at his estate in Walnut Hills, where he spent his later years. There's a zombie on your lawn. There's a zombie on the lawn. 3 Little Empresses. Simple bunks in the style of the 3 Little Empresses, the triplets who were not triplets. Humble in their youths, but a symbol of something more sinister, it was rumored that Empress Marise, 619 to 643 steel, had given birth to 1 child but adopted 2 lookalikes to protect the lineage from assassination. Wise in a way, but it presented other problems if we are to believe the outcome of the popular children's skipping rhyme that we associate with the time. 3 little empresses, which of them is true? A simple glass of almond tea, and now there's only 2. 2 little empresses, which will be undone? A dagger from beneath a cloak, and now there's only 1. 1 little empress child, reaping what was sown, only she knows which she was, and now she's on the throne. Excerpted and torn from a disposable walking tour of the capital by Philium, a bard. And that is that. I'll see you all next time when we continue on through Crestwood. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Be safe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.